All right, we are live back on Steel City on the YouTube channel with the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. I am Andre Duke, and whenever you're catching this, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing. So we're here to talk a little Jackson Dart going forward. Do I think the Steelers are going to make that first round pick? Possibly. I think they're going to. Um, we'll have to see. But if you're watching on X or um, come on over to the YouTube chat to check it out. This is more of our NFL centric show. Um, we do a little crossover on the college football show, but not as much. But if you want to hit that like and subscribe button, that would help us out tremendously. But let's get into it. Jackson Dart got a chance to review the film breakdown that Zach Smith did over on Minnesota Sports. I thought that was pretty compelling, pretty interesting. I think that what Zach broke down was, maybe some of Jackson's not his finest moments, but I think going forward that he can probably maybe fix some of the things that are wrong with his mechanics, mechanic wise, throwing off the front foot and some bad reads. I know Zach didn't like a lot of Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss's offense. That's something to be said. But I do think that going forward for the Steelers, I know I kind of sound like a broken record, but if you're here for the first time, it's one of those things that I think that Jackson Dart could be a little bit of a project. I think going forward, with the impendence or the lack thereof, Aaron Rodgers has not signed yet, but everything coming from Tomlin and the Rooneys has indicated that he's going to sign. I think that it would be great for the Steelers to take Dart, to take a running back in the third round, which I think should be a guy bouncing around there, Ali Gordon. I don't think that's the end of the world, the be all end all. When it comes down to it, I think that Ollie Gordon possibly. I don't know if Quinshon Judkins will be around there, but I think that, and also you have J.K. Dobbins floating around as a free agent as well. I don't think that, them bringing in Mason Rudolph plus drafting a quarterback and signing Aaron Rodgers is the end of the world. I think Mason Rudolph is the default starter if they don't bring in Aaron Rodgers. And I think, it goes back to the Pickett stuff. Kenny obviously wasn't the guy. I wasn't high on Kenny in private circles as well as public, but you got to turn the page on that and let that dog lie where it's at. So I think that, going forward for the Steelers, do I think Jackson Dart could be the guy? Yes. If they get him coached up right and fix a lot of his mechanic issues with throwing the football, throwing off the front foot, missing throws. I think a lot of the Lane Kiffin offense has had, not shown a bunch of guys that are quarterback frauds or anything like that. It's just that, Jackson Dart getting the ball out quick and being an RPO guy, I think works against him a lot. It just depends upon the offensive scheme. I do know I watched a lot of Ole Miss this year, and their offensive line was not the greatest. They're especially on the right side. So we'll see how this pans out. But I think Dart going forward should be the guy that the Steelers take. I like him more than Will Howard, although I was big on Will Howard a couple of days ago. I got to see Dart on the 22 film. I think there's some issues. Do I think an NFL staff could fix that? Yes. They should be able to, because it's the National Football League, so coach them up, in my opinion. But I think that, some of the deeper issues that the Steelers got going is the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers could decide to retire. That's something that I don't think a lot of people are prepared for. He could, even though he did have that throwing session with DK Metcalf, I mean, I think that's all signs that point towards he's going to sign. It's a matter of when. Although I think if the Steelers take a first-round quarterback, that could I don't know if it'll change his decision, but it could play a factor. I don't think a lot of people are prepared for that, although Antonio Brown and CTESPN put it out there first before anybody, like in March, that he could sign with the Steelers. So I think that that's something to look at as a long term, but I don't think that it's the be all end all if they take a quarterback in the first round. You have the quote unquote Steeler insiders, which I find really fascinating, that, watching the team for as many years as I have, I've been able to see how they operate and all of that, and how Tomlin handles the media. I don't think that it's the end of the world that this is airtight, and I do find it funny that if it does come to pass, that Antonio Brown had it first before anybody else. So I think Tomlin and the Rooneys are doing everything they can to help push the Aaron Rodgers narrative out there. And I think that Aaron Rodgers gives the Steelers a legit chance to win. It'll be interesting to see what they do on draft day. Do I think that George Pickens is on the table for a trade? I've heard a little bit of grumblings about that. I would be shocked. I think that if you keep everything intact, and if Jackson Dart or Will Howard falls to you in the first round, you have to make a decision going forward. So I don't think that it would be absolutely insane if they decide to go quarterback with their first round choice. I don't think it's that big of a deal, because whoever they draft, Will Howard or Jackson Dart, Me personally, I'm out on Quinn Ewers. I think if Quinn Ewers is a first-round draft pick, then Jackson Dart is going to be a home run steal. That's not shocking. I went over the quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round for the last 5 years, and I believe in 2022, if memory serves correct, Kenny Pickett was the only first-round quarterback drafted, and I don't know where the bottom falls out on the quarterback draft stuff, but I think that going forward, we have a pretty defined picture at the top of the draft. It's going to be Shador, Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter in some form or fashion. That's going to be the top 4 picked. So, do I think the Steelers go first round quarterback? Yes. If I'm the Steelers, I go first round quarterback. I think if Dart falls to you, because I think the Rams will snag him at 26, and that is if they don't trade up. I could see the Rams giving up future capital to secure their future, so there's no drop-off or no lull, kind of like what the Steelers have been going through the post-Ben era. And, that's something that I wanted to talk about on today's show, because 2017 is the last time the Steelers won a playoff game. So it's been a minute, and then 2017 they lose to the Patriots 36-17. 2018 they had the debacle that was against the Jaguars. 2021 was 2020 was the Browns 48-37. I don't think that bodes well for anybody in Steelers country. And then they got in 2022, 2021 season, but whatever. I'm just reading the dates. I don't care to make the season right. 2022, blown out by the Chiefs. 2-year hiatus or a 1-year hiatus, blown out by the Bills, and then last year got beat by 14 to the Ravens. So I think it's long overdue. I think that there's some urgency going forward that, Pittsburgh, has lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 playoff games in a row. And I don't know if that's an indictment of Tomlin, but the last one that they lost was with Ben in 2021 or 2022 against the Chiefs. So the last 2 times they made the playoffs, they did not have an elite quarterback. So I think that's something to take into mind. Do I think the Steelers can figure it out? I would hope so. This is something that I think that they have been working hard on, trying to figure out the quarterback position. I think Omar Khan, like I've said before, has completely changed the narrative in Pittsburgh, just because he has made trades. He's got aggressive, not the Kevin Colbert hang back, we're going to draft and develop. So I think that's something that has permeated through the Steelers organization. But, that's just something that they need to look into as far as making big trades, which the Steelers never make big trades. I think that everything for the Steelers is swinging upward. It's just not where everybody wants it to be at this point. But doing a quick little show today, so halfway through, as it is on the ticker down below, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're coming over from, if you're watching on X, come on over and check it out on YouTube. Jump in the chat and help us grow this thing. So that's something that we're trying to do over here. And then probably this evening we're going to go live again. That's more of a college football centric show, more dominated by college football. So hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing. So that's where we're at right now. Pivoting a little bit off of the Steelers wagon just a little bit. We're going to stray from the path for a minute. Geno Smith made $67.4 million from 2013 to 2024. And then he gets a new contract for 2 years for $85.5 million. Pete Carroll hooked that guy up, as far as I'm concerned. So that's where we're at on that. Geno Smith getting paid by the Raiders, it is, in his best interest. So I think that it goes to show you that NFL teams need the guy that touches the ball the most to make the biggest impact on the field. So I think that, the Steelers need to secure the future. Either get Dart or get somebody in the first round that you think is the guy. I think it's either going to be Will Howard. That is, if the Saints don't take Jackson Dart at 9, I think it would be a big slap in the face to Derek Carr at the Saints. But I don't know if the Saints will take a quarterback live that early. I think the Saints have plenty of holes to fill, to be honest, to keep it 100, to keep it a buck with everybody. It's very, very off-putting to me because I think that the first 4 picks are figured out, and I think 5 through 32 could get super interesting. Every year in the draft, people trade up like the Texans did that one year, traded into 2 top 5 picks. Do I think a team will get that bold? Maybe. Could the team that drafts Shedeur Sanders get that bold and slide on up to the 5th pick or 4th pick to see what's going on? Shedeur Sanders reunited with Travis Hunter. That's always a possibility. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all. And also, going into the 2024 season, Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush, and Trey Lance were the Cowboys' quarterback room. And then in April now, you have Dak Prescott mixed with Joe Milton. The Cowboys trade for Joe Milton. Do I think this is Dak's replacement? I think Jerry Jones seen that guy throw an orange 100 yards. And that is something that I think they're looking at possibly to unseat Dak, but they're paying Dak Prescott a ton of money. Do I think that it could possibly go into the other realm? No, I don't think that Dallas can get away with not playing Dak Prescott, but it's just unbelievable that they make that trade to get Joe Milton. Do I think Joe Milton could be the guy in Dallas? No, but it is NFL draft silly season, and you see how Jerry Jones operates, and it's kind of like, kind of wild times. I don't think that it's crazy for the Cowboys to make that move, though. It's, it is what it is. But if I'm Dak Prescott, I don't think I'm worried. The biggest thing with Dak is he's got to stay healthy. He's got to make it through the year. I don't think that there are too many big opinions on Dak Prescott. He's only won one playoff game. Dallas hasn't won anything since like 96. So if Dak goes down, I think it's Jerry protecting his asset and not letting what happened last year happen this year. So that's something. And I also think the Chicago Bears is a team to keep an eye on. Do I think Ryan Poles gets aggressive in this year's draft? Yes. I think he'll get real aggressive to see what he can do. He's sitting at the 10 spot. He went out and signed 3 offensive linemen. Do I think he could package some picks together and maybe move up and get Caleb Williams another wide receiver weapon? Possibly. Do I think that the Bears would crack the top 4? It depends on who's going to draft Travis Hunter. I think Tennessee's pretty dead set on Cam Ward. I think Cleveland's pretty dead set on Shedeur Sanders. The Giants, Patriots are kind of wild cards because you never know what Vrabel is going to want at the 4. Do I think he takes Travis Hunter? If I'm New England, yes, I take Travis Hunter. I think the Raiders, I wouldn't be shocked if Pete Carroll trades back to keep it a buck with everybody, or goes defense early. I think that that's something that the Raiders could do, is go high defense, but it depends on if Abdul Carter slides. If he slides out of the top 5 picks, I'll be interested. Leon Cohen being an offensive guy, I think he's going to go probably the best available receiver. That would be probably the McMillan kid out of Arizona. Then you have the Golden kid out of Texas. I'm really shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders, knowing Pete Carroll doing off the wall things, I wouldn't be shocked if Pete Carroll goes the Walker kid out of Georgia, or going Tyler Warren. You'd have probably 2 of the top 10 tight ends in the game, and that'd be right up Pete Carroll's alley. Getting Cam Scatterboo in 2nd or 3rd round, even though I think the Steelers should look into that. And, the personnel that Pete Carroll likes to run, that's 2 huge tight end targets. And then it's kind of grim and barren. But although Pete Carroll likes defensive guys, I wouldn't be shocked if you wouldn't see him jump up and grab a Will Johnson at all, or the Pierce kid out of Tennessee. So I think that, Pete Carroll's got a lot of options just where he's sitting. So with the quarterbacks, Jackson Dart's number 3. If I'm the Saints, I wouldn't be shocked, but what are you going to do with Derek Carr? It's a tough sell to to a rookie quarterback, that means that they would have to try to dump Derek Carr in the next 2 to 3 years to see if Dart could play, possibly. Um, and then the Scarborough kid out of Louisville is going to be in there. And then the project, Jalen Milroe. I'll be interested to see where Jalen Milroe winds up, if he's going to play quarterback or whatever he's going to play, because I find the Milroe draft pick, whoever decides to take that on, will be fascinating. Dylan Gabriel is another guy that I would be interested to see where he lands or winds up if he gets taken. Do I think Dylan Gabriel gets taken in the NFL draft? He should. If Jalen Milroe is a NFL draft pick, I would think Dylan Gabriel is, just for the simple fact that he can throw the ball down the field. So that is something of consequence. And a lot of these teams have to make decisions on the fly, and I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing, but it's nothing too crazy. And then the Arizona Cardinals make McBride the highest paid tight end in football. He's making more than Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle, Dallas Goedert, Mark Andrews, David Njoku, Cole Kmet, Pat Freiermuth, and Dylan Schultz. So he's making almost $20 million a year, which I find that really fascinating to me. So it's very, very off-putting on what a lot of these teams are doing with their salary and salary cap. So I think going into the NFL draft, we're going to keep an eyeball on it. I'm hoping Aaron Rodgers signs soon to cut out all the speculation and everything that goes into the Aaron Rodgers saga. It's kind of almost like Favre watch at this point, minus a couple other things. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers followed in Favre's footsteps and ended up at the Jets, and it just didn't work. I would kind of like to get a tracker on every Jets signing that has not worked out between Favre, Rodgers, and then they let Chad Pennington go. And then he goes down to Miami, wins the division in New York. That's very, very interesting, to say the least. So I think this whole Jets story arc is very interesting. All right. We got BL Goldberg. Steelers are washed up. I can't wait for Aaron Rodgers circus to come to town. You'll probably be bandwagon and become a Bills fan. Come on, man. No way. We're not doing the whole Josh Allen thing over here. Why would I be a Bills fan? Terry Pagula, although that he has been a great owner on the NFL side of things. Now the Buffalo Sabres, that is that's a different story, to say the least. So do I think the Aaron Rodgers circus coming to town, it'll be very different dealing with Mike Tomlin, and I think that's what Aaron Rodgers is really thinking over, because I'd be shocked if he lets him do the whole McAfee thing. To be honest, I don't think the Pat McAfee thing will fly with Tomlin and the Steelers and the Rooneys. So Aaron's going to have to get it together, and I don't think there'll be any of that talk that Aaron was having, because the Steelers are pretty buttoned up, and I'm pretty sure all the Cam Hayward's podcasts and all that stuff like that go through the Steelers. So I'm pretty good on my source on that one. And I don't think that it will trend in the Aaron Rodgers is going to dictate terms to people, just for the simple fact of it's not conducive for the Steelers' behavior. I mean, Tomlin kept a lid on Antonio Brown for how many years? And then as soon as AB got out of line, they shipped him. So I think I wouldn't be shocked if Pickens ain't on the block for draft day, to be honest with you. So I guess we'll sum it up there. A little Friday show, a little 30-minute show to keep it in perspective. So, but with that being said, we'll table it here. Hit that like and subscribe button. The Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith is what we're on, but this show is called Steel City. So we're going to be covering the Steelers going forward, and it's not going to be the quote-unquote, we have the whole song and dance. If you want to go watch a Mike Tomlin press conference, good luck. They're pretty much not the oh, man. Number 11 is in here. Wow. Must be downtime at the yard. You guys must not be loading many trains today. So, but with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to go at 10 a.m. doing the Steelers talk, and then at 7:30 East Coast time, we are going to be hitting the college football and some of the other things. Number 11 asks, can the Steelers get Deion's son? No, I don't think he'll be there unless something comes out in the coming days that makes his draft stock absolutely tumble. So I don't foresee that coming through. So I think that Shedeur is going to be probably a top 5 pick. Travis Hunter, top 5 pick. Good on CU for that. They got Deion and the whole prime thing going. So, but do I think that? I think the Steelers realistically, as a floor, you end up with Jackson Dart or Will Howard. That's your trending quarterbacks, if I had anything to do with it, because I don't think Pittsburgh can go another cycle. Even if they sign Rodgers, this is maybe, if the Rodgers thing works out, this is going to be their best draft choice in maybe 2 years. With all things being said, as BL says, join the Bills bandwagon. I'd like to know where the Bears are going to pick, because I think they're going to pick top 5 next year, at least. That would be the floor. Top 5's the floor. The ceiling is probably top 10, and depending on tiebreakers, they ain't getting out of top 15. So we'll see what the painted nail one does. But even though he has Ben Johnson ain't throwing the football. So that is something to look forward. The Chicago Bears, the absolute train wreck that they've been. They go and hire an offensive coordinator that they think that has no head coaching experience, to my knowledge. They think that they're going to put him. Oh, no. Kyle Johnson chimes in with Caleb Williams' first $1 billion contract. Man, whatever you are partaking in, give me double of that, because I think the Bears are not picking up Caleb Williams' option, most likely, because Ryan Poles will probably more than likely be fired. Caleb Williams will be on the first thing smoking out of Chicago as soon as they don't have to pay any extra money. So that's where that's at. It'll be excitement, hysteria. The Bears will probably win. They'll start out like 2-0 or 1-1 or something like that, and they'll say, "See, I told you." But longevity-wise, Caleb Williams, I don't think he may win more games than Will Levis, Mr. Mayo, but I don't foresee it happening. He's not great arm talent, but as far as the 6 inches between the ears, it's just not there. Number 11, the Steelers are no longer relevant. No. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. That's what keeps the Steelers relevant. Even though they haven't won a playoff game since 2017, but, they got a chip in the chair and they're in there, and, out of the playoff losses, you had a Ben Roethlisberger at the end of his career, and Tomlin's made it to 3 playoff games with the likes of Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph all by committee. So do I think that Tomlin is probably the second best coach in the NFL behind Andy Reid? Yes. Got a Super Bowl ring. Not many guys left in the NFL got those. You could say, oh, Kyle Shanahan. Well, he's got to the big game and lost, and him and John Lynch drafted Trey Lance. So go look up Trey Lance's stat line and get back to me with that, as Jim Calhoun says from X of Connecticut. So do I think that the Steelers aren't relevant? They're very relevant. They just need to get a running back of the future and a quarterback, and I think as long as they can get them developed, I think everything will be A-okay. It's just they just haven't had a quarterback with the it factor. Kenny Pickett like to throw 6-yard worm burners. Go look at Kenny Pickett's stat line the last year he was in Pittsburgh. What did he end up with? 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions for like 2,500 yards, and he started like 13 games, and they sat him on the bench, and then he packed up his stuff on a private jet when he was with teammates and took his ball and went home whenever the Steelers signed Russell Wilson, because Kenny Pickett didn't want to compete, and I think it'll be the same thing in Cleveland. Hopefully he got a dose of reality in Philadelphia. Kenny Pickett does have a Super Bowl ring that, I contribute to as much as that as he did. Call me up. I can go out there and throw 6-yard worm burners. But do I think Kenny will get his due? He's probably going to get an opportunity to play in Cleveland. I wish him well. Good luck, but you're with the Browns. You might as well go to the Bears at that point. Although the Bears, in my opinion, should have never fired Lovie Smith, so that's where I'm at on it. You fire a guy that went 10-6 NFC Championship game. You do the math. But Cleveland, the never-ending quarterback door, the never-ending coaching door, although Stefanski's had some staying power there, but, Jimmy Haslam came out recently and said Deshaun Watson was a swing and a miss. So I guess that gives him the extra vote of confidence, if that's what you want to call it. Maybe they'll figure it out. So, but What is Richie chimes in? The AFC North is the worst division in the NFL. Rich, that seems pretty damn rich coming from a guy that has a Tampa Bay Buccaneer avatar. I'm just saying, sometimes we should look in the mirror and the accused should not throw stones. But since Rich has opened this can of worms, I am going to reset the show here. So if you're watching on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube stream. We got plenty of people in here. We got number 11. We got BL. We got Kyle Johnson. We got Richie Williams in here. Richie wants to talk to me about AFC South football. So now that you have poked the bear, Rich, we're going down the AFC South. We're gonna go down this road. So the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix. This should be great. After I get what I need to pulled up, this is just gonna be fun times. The NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons should be interesting. Raheem Morris is okay. If Penix turns out everything they want him to be, the New Orleans Saints are an absolute train wreck, dumpster fire. They'll probably win like they did this year. The first 3 games might start out 3-0 and end up 6-11 or something like that. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, a guy that just has never been able to get over the hump. In my opinion, the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper, maybe they can pull him off of throwing drinks on fans at Jacksonville for getting trolled. I don't know. I mean, there's video evidence of that, so that's really not made up. But the Panthers, we'll just roll down there. They got boat raced by the Saints. They pick eighth in the first round, second. It just, I don't think it could. I don't think it matters. Bryce Young, the Carolina Panthers 5-12, New Orleans Saints 5-12, Atlanta 8-9, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 7-10. Tampa Bay only benefited because New Orleans sucks, Carolina sucks, and Atlanta is only good at home. So we'll see what they metabolize or what they turn into. But if you look at the team leaders for the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young threw for 2,400 yards, and I believe he got benched. 4-time division champs. Yes, I get it. Division South champs of the NFC. That's like calling yourself the tallest midget. You had 2 teams in your division combined for 10-24. This is where we go, because even if you look at the AFC North, the Ravens won 12 games, which is more than the Saints and Panthers combined. One team in one division. The Bills won 13 games, more than the 2 bottom teams combined. Even to win the AFC South, which Houston struggled. They were hit with the injury bug real bad. They went 10-7, which ties 2 teams in the division. So I don't know where the bottom falls out. But do I think Baker is the long-term solution in Tampa Bay? No, not really. But he threw for 4,500 yards. We'll see, but I don't think it's going to be the be-all, end-all until one of the teams in the NFC South gets a legitimate quarterback, and then Baker will probably be on the first thing smoking out of Tampa because, oh, man, we couldn't win those 2 games because 2 of those games that go the other way, you go from 10-7 to 9-8. You're the Atlanta Falcons. Because if you look at the teams that they beat, you lost to a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, which is probably the next great one. Although I think it's funny, the Bucs did go to Detroit and win. They got smoked by the Broncos. They beat the Eagles this year, lost to Atlanta, beat the Saints, lost to the Ravens, lost to the Falcons, lost to the Chiefs, lost to the Niners. Now let's go through and look at who they beat. They beat the Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers. Kyle Johnson says the Steelers going to have Uncle Rico chucking the pigskin next year. No. Did you just compare Aaron Rodgers to Uncle Rico? Aaron Rodgers to Uncle Rico? That's rough. So out of that, and we'll go back to the shredding of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, Rich, you want to tell me out of their schedule, they beat one playoff team. That's what they did. The Buccaneers beat one playoff team. Because every other team they beat 2, 3, 4. But that was opening week. They beat 4 playoff teams this year. They beat the Commanders week 1. They beat the Lions at home. And they beat the Eagles somehow. I think that's when Philadelphia was falling apart. But, you go to the back 6 games. They beat the Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, lost to the Cowboys, Panthers, and Saints. So that's where we're at in the Tampa Bay realm of things. We'll go ahead and look at who Atlanta beat. They lost to the Steelers. Although I do find that funny. Atlanta beat Philadelphia too, so that's interesting. Lost to the Chiefs. They beat the Saints, Buccaneers, Panthers. Lost to the Seahawks. Beat the Bucs twice this year. Atlanta beat the Bucs twice this year. That is tough sledding. And then Atlanta loses 4 in a row to the Saints, Broncos, Chargers, Vikings. They got smoked by the Vikings. They beat the Raiders, Giants, and then L to the Commanders and L to the Panthers. So we'll see how it shakes out and pans out. But I think there's more meat on the bone in Atlanta than there is in Tampa, to be honest. And then we'll talk about the monsters of the Midway real quick. They end up beating the Titans, which that's interesting. They barely lose to the Texans, lose to the Colts. The Bears beat the Rams, Panthers, Jaguars, and then they proceed to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games in a row. What is number 11 saying? You can't get that tough sledding on the t-shirts. Hey, I'm working on it, all right? I can only do so much. I'm a one-man show over here right now. But they lose 11 in a row, and then the topper on the Bears season, Caleb Williams, number 1 overall pick. They lose 3-6 to the Seahawks. 3-6. Very interesting. And they had the Lions on the rope. The Lions on the ropes. Let's not forget about Thanksgiving. although the Bears have two first round or two second round picks, they pick seventh in the second round and ninth in the second round. So since they have a veteran signee by Case Keenum, hopefully that helps out Caleb Williams to make him realize that you're not the best athlete in the NFC North. He threw for 3,500 yards. So, and then Ryan Poles gives a interview from the owners meeting, and the big quote is, "We're looking to establish an identity." That's very interesting. Well, you drafted a quarterback as the number one overall pick. I would think it would be passing, to be honest. But if I was Ryan Poles, I would have kept Justin Fields and got that guy Joe Alt that's really good for the Chargers, and either got Brock Bowers or another offensive lineman, to be honest. So I think that that's a interesting deal there that Ryan Poles says that we're looking to establish an identity. And let's be real, on the Niners front of it, they were 6-11. I think the Kyle Shanahan, if you looked at him in his owners meeting press conference, he looked like he's aged about 25 years and 6. So I wouldn't be shocked if Kyle Shanahan is possibly not looking or maybe on the way out. That's just my opinion. And another team that I want to highlight here is the New England Patriots. Are they going to be better with Mike Vrabel than Gerard Mayo? Did Gerard Mayo and Antonio Pierce, both two separate guys in two separate situations, get dealt bad hands? I think so, because they didn't really give him a semblance of a quarterback room or a package or, just pretty much anything. That's just something that I was looking at as far as the NFL whip around. And a lot of people want to give Mike Tomlin a whole bunch of grief. But how about we turn the tables on the Baltimore Ravens and John Harbaugh? Because nobody ever talks about John Harbaugh completely hacking it away in the playoffs for X amount of years. He's got one Super Bowl too, but he's got Lamar Jackson, the quote-unquote best player in the NFL, and the Ravens couldn't get past the Bills, and the Bills can't get past the Chiefs, and the Ravens couldn't get past the Chiefs either last year. So I think we're, staring at a big issue here that, the Eagles could beat the Chiefs. I think that first Super Bowl taught them a lot, and then it'll be interesting going forward. But, as far as head coach pressure in the NFL, Harbaugh gets a pass. McDermott is hanging on, I think, by the skin of his teeth. Mike McDaniel in Miami is looking at, if Tua's healthy, is his big excuse. So, and I think Tyreek Hill wants out. That's just my opinion. The Jets hired a new guy in Aaron Glenn. So we'll see how long of a leash Woody Johnson gives him, because they, again, have no quarterback, and it's just an absolute dumpster fire up there in New York, both New York teams. Vrabel with the Patriots, I think that's a lot of familiarity there, and I think they'll end up figuring it out with Mike Vrabel. I would hope. John Harbaugh, won the division again, crapped out in the playoffs. Tomlin and the Steelers, got in the playoffs, didn't win a game. So there's a lot of a rabid fan base that's freaking out about that. Zach Taylor in Cincinnati is very interesting, because they just committed a the Brown family committed a ton of money to the offensive side of the ball. They bring in Al Golden. We'll see how that pans out if Al Golden can fix their defense. But I think at the NFL level, it's about players, not plays. So good luck to you, Al. I think I would have stayed at Notre Dame, but, you'll be on the first thing smoking in probably 2 years. It's either going to go really, really bad or really, really good, but we'll see. Hopefully they figure out the defensive side of the ball because going into next year, they have no salary cap. Good luck, Cincinnati. Cleveland, hopefully they don't run Deshaun Watson out there. Hopefully Stefanski can stay employed. DeMeco Ryans won the division in the AFC South because the Colts have no quarterback. Trevor Lawrence stunk out loud, and Tennessee is bad. Leroy Brown, bad. That's very interesting. Maybe Cam Ward can turn it around. I don't know. I think Tennessee needs a lot. They got rid of Vrabel. The owner, I don't think, has any idea what's going on. They fired the GM, so we'll see how that whole thing pans out. And then same thing with Liam Cohen, Mr. Duval in Jacksonville. Maybe he can figure out Trevor Lawrence's struggles, but we'll see how it pans out. Kansas City, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones. Kind of hard to argue with that. The Chargers, Herbert, maybe another year with Harbaugh makes them take a step forward. They did win 11 games, so that's nothing to shake a stick at. Bo Nix going into year 2 with Sean Payton. Maybe they can get more screaming matches on the sideline, but as long as it transitions into wins, I don't think Broncos country, I think they're ready to ride, just not with Russ. Vegas is very interesting, bringing in Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, Carroll's 2 sons on the staff there. They bring in Geno Smith. They actually have a formidable quarterback. I think the AFC West is probably the best division in football. Transitioning into the NFC East, Eagles, Super Bowl champs, nothing to complain about. Washington, future's very bright. Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys, who knows what is going to go on. Jerry Jones, the keeper of the crypt. Hopefully no more illegitimate children come forward for the Dallas Cowboys owner, allegedly. But we'll see. The Giants, good luck, Dayball. Your GM sucks. Joe Shane sucks. He sucks out loud just for the simple fact of he let Saquon Barkley go. Don't understand that one. Dan Campbell, 15-2. Got to get over the hump there. I think he'll be all right, but got to get over the hump. Minnesota, probably starting J.J. McCarthy. We'll see how well that works out. Will they be 14-3? I don't know. Maybe the Packers and the Bears pick up 1 or 2 extra wins there. We'll see if JJ can get it done. Green Bay, Jordan Love, I would stay the course. Maybe get him a receiver and shore up that defense. And I think Green Bay will be back in the playoffs again. The Bears need a lot. As Ryan Poles said, establish an identity. And I will sum up the AFC South in one big word. It's a big bag of mid. If you told me the Atlanta Falcons won the division, if you told me Tampa Bay won the division, if you told me somehow Kellen Moore decided to pull something out of Derek Carr that nobody else has been able to do, I wouldn't be shocked. So I don't know who's going to win that division. Not a good field. Don't watch a lot of that. But going out west, the Rams, I think they are the toast of the AFC or NFC West. I don't see how they're not. They got the best quarterback. Sam Darnold addition in Seattle. Do they win 10 games a year or 10 games next year? We'll see. We'll see how well that shakes out. Kyler Murray in the Arizona Cardinals. They have great building blocks. They I feel like quarterback is their issue. Marvin Harrison Jr., we'll see. Paris Johnson, but who knows? And then the last but not least, the San Francisco 49ers being the end of the line with everything going on. Do I think that it's an interesting time out there in San Francisco at old Levi Stadium? Yes, because they went 6-11. They need a quarterback. I don't think Purdy's the guy. I don't see it. And I think they're old on defense. And I think John Lynch has to blow it up. So that's just my opinion. The early knee-jerk reactions of that because Richie decided to kick it off. So that's where I'm at on the whole NFL going forward. Do I think the Steelers draft Jackson Dart? Yes. Will he be a project? Not a project like Jalen Milroe project, but I think Jackson Dart could probably start 2 to 3 years down the road for them as long as they have an offensive concept. Is Arthur Smith going to be there? What's the long-term solution at offensive coordinator? Because that's something also that's not looked at by the Steelers fans as much. After they got rid of Bruce Arians, it went to the Todd Haley route, then it went Randy Fichtner, and then it went, after Ben retired, it went Matt Canada. Matt Canada ended up being an absolute disaster. The whole Pickett thing, they had to fire Canada. They were holding up signs saying Canada was men's genitalia. So that just goes to let you know, Arthur Smith, if you don't figure it out, I'm going to be holding them signs up about you. I hate to say that. I think Arthur Smith is a good offensive coordinator. He wouldn't have got a head coaching job in the NFL. Although did I leave out that Arthur Smith's dad owns FedEx? But so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but just throwing that out there. But with that being said, I think Jackson Dart is most likely going to be the draft pick. We'll see how well it pans out, but we shall see. But with that being said, we should be back tonight, 7:30, or Carter's going to roll a nightcap, something of that sort. Hit that like and subscribe button if you made it this long with us. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Kyle, number 11, Richie, BL. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hopefully you got something out of this, just my opinion. But we shall see where the chips fall. But with that being said, everybody have a good rest of your day. See you tonight.